Okay, so now I'm going to show you the setup I made for the grid on the ground. So it's really just a plane. You see, there's no cyclorama and I have a sphere in the background. Okay, so I applied this shader here, a surface shader, to my grid, and I simply went to get a node called grid. Okay, so the grid texture, this one, which simply allows you to create grids. So I'm going to put the color into the surface shader, and that's pretty much it. Now I'll show you a bit more about how I actually made it much more complex. If I open the attribute editor, so here, obviously we have the color, and already, in fact, we have the first settings. There's also a place 2D texture, which means I can increase, for example. Already here, this, and then we can play around, especially with the thickness of the lines. The contrast, there isn't much, but it's enough. Okay, so I did that, so let's do it properly with the same values. So here, I tell myself this is my grid here. And as a matter of fact, the core idea behind it all is, after that is finished, I can go ahead and duplicate it by simply performing an edit duplicate command to create a second copy of the layer. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to create just like that another grid. So what I have done is left it. I'll leave this in black here because it is much simpler this way. And now we're going to make an AI layer RGBA. So, and I'm going to put my two inputs. We could potentially call this something like, for example, the big grid layout, if you will, and then move forward from that point. Let's look at the fine grid. Okay, I'm looking to create two levels of grids. So what I'll do next is place the first one here and the second one here. And so this, the high color. Here nothing is happening, that's normal. As for this specific node right here, Arnold is unable to display it properly in the viewport. So what I'm going to do is temporarily hide my Canon model and then open Arnold and start a render. We can see the entire layout grid. So right now, this is what I have. I only have one for now. So what I am going to do here, it is actually because you need to enable the second one. I'll hit play again, and now I'm going to change the settings because I think that's it. So I'm going to set it. For example, here, let's say twice as much. There we go. And now it's showing up. So now both are similar. So I can take the second one and tell it, okay, you're going to be finer with lines that will be thinner. And I'll set you, for example, to appear even more frequently. And you can have a grid, a bit like in Maya, with big and small ones. We're starting to combine things like that. So next, what I did was, I am just going to disconnect this to see it. If we take a look in the viewport, I made a ramp because here you will see a ramp texture that I have created right here. I'll set it to color so I can get a viewport preview here. Normally it should show up. Yeah, because the problem is when I do. The thing is my grid stops here at the back and I would like to have a sort of infinite grid. Okay, without seeing the edge, so you take the ramp and set it to, I think it's circular to make it appear as a circle you see here. And we're going to make a mask with that. For example, let's say here it's opaque, and when it turns completely white, or the other way around, it just disappears. And if I go ahead and set this layer to transparency, then we can see the result. And if you already look in the viewport, well, it is actually the exact opposite. It works fine, but there you go. Okay, so now it's good to see. You can see the effect directly in the viewport, and normally it appears quite clearly. Well, the surface shader isn't well supported in Arnold. That is why we are going to place this into an AI standard surface shader. So here, we will connect the outColor attribute directly into the base color input. I am going to properly configure the settings and remove all the components that are currently unnecessary. Specular. And so the ramp, I'm going to put it into opacity. Here I remove the surface and I reconnect it. So this one. There you go. So the process is that I display it and I apply them. And on a sphere in the background, as I thought, we are in another one. The opposite of our viewport. Okay, great. We'll get there. You got the idea. So after that, you just need to go ahead and adjust it slightly. There you go. And you have this little gradient, so you adjust it as needed. I don't know why, it's weird, but on the edge, I still see it. Maybe I need to. Yet my value is really set to black. Well, never mind, let's move on to achieve this delicate transparency look for the final result. Great. And so, yes, after that, you just add I had made a sphere here that you place, so in this case, you have several options available here. You can choose to implement a standard surface shader or another method, such as using a surface shader with a simple solid color for your project. To get this kind of gray effect. And now you have the complete perfect setup to create the little grid, and you put your object right in the middle. And there you go. It gives you a nice little setup. A bit original and nice. Well, the background is a bit too black. Come here, raise it up. There you go. That's the background color. After that, you need to tweak the settings a little bit. We always avoid using pure black, and that's it for the little grid setup.